So, hey there everyone, and welcome to the APPF1 racing community. I'm Zach Sweeney as always, and I'll be taking you through tonight's action. First, let's take a look at last week's results and what implications they have going into tonight. Ghost once again taking the win ahead of his teammate in Brazil, followed by a great result from Davila in Haas's bid to P3. Vardy come up right back at him though with a very dominant display in the reverse race at Bahrain, ahead of Ghost, championship leader and fan favourite Scott coming home a great P3. A great showing from the Haas boys meant they jumped Red Bull for P3 in the constructors standings and have closed the gap to Ferrari to just 20 points. It's certainly looking spicy coming into this evening, and the gap only 8 points between the top two. Well, we are here tonight for round 5 of the Sunday night sprint races. So what's in store for us tonight? Well, it's certainly going to very historic and two very iconic circuits, first of which requires a trip to the nation of the Orange Army, the Netherlands. First hosting a Formula 1 Grand Prix back in 1955, and with an on-off relationship before making a return back in 2020, however had to be postponed until 2021. However, 15 corners and 4.2 kilometres will be a lap of the Zandvoort circuit, with overtaking in scarcity. Strategy is certainly going to play a huge factor today, as we're loaded now into the one-shot quali. So one chance, one shot to get everyone in and ready for tonight's action. Obviously, strict corner cutting as well could play a massive factor, and strategy as well going to play a massive factor today as well. Sumo, good luck everyone. I hope you have something to talk about during the slow point at Zandvoort. Hopefully, I should just about manage. But you never know, it is very tricky to do so sometimes, but hopefully we'll have some great people in chat. So we will go on board with last week's race winner, Ghost. We'll spectate him right now. So coming into turn 1, you want to be all over to the left hand side, braking just before the 50 board, down to 3rd gear and getting the rotation on the exit using 4th gear and everything through into turn 2 and 3. Braking very nicely, using the camber, but very deep from Ghost in the Williams to try and get it up the inside, and just manages to get a good exit. Still provisional P1 with the debutee of Gremlin in P2, so he's definitely making a good showing in the Netherlands. Rounding off sector 1 though, it is Purple coming through and into the very tight infield sections. Very nicely done, turning in very nicely. 3rd gear, 4th gear, DRS wide open. Through into penultimate corner, then really got to give it everything, fully chucking it in, and Vardy has managed to make his way up to P2, but he's managed to jump his teammate. It could be a drag race to the line. DRS wide open, the rear fling WAP. Who is going to be on top today? It's Vardy, but very close between himself and his teammate. A 109.6 and a 109.6 again for Ghost, so extremely close between the two Williams guys, but once again taking a P1 and 2 position in Davila, rounding off the top 3. So definitely a very good showing from those guys in Williams once again, who have definitely no shy of giving us a very good now. That's all done. But nonetheless, Vardy takes pole very closely from him and his teammates. Only 0.03 of a second with Davila rounding off the top 3. Debutee of Gremlin and McLaren rounding off the 2nd row. Ted P5, Scott, the championship leader in P6, Wayne in P7, Sumo P8, Bluey P9, Ethan rounding off the top 10, and Paus in P11. He won't be too happy with that, I'm sure. Arm in P12, Starry P13, Tier 14th, QB 15th, Ginger in 16th, and S-Man, Bitmappy and Max all disqualified from the session. Must have had a bit of a corner cut at some point around the circuit. Okay. But nonetheless guys, if you are enjoying the stream, do make sure to click the like button, and hopefully we can get quite a few people in, and we're up to 5 people watching now, so do make sure to hit the like button guys. And we're now going to what is hopefully going to be a pretty thrilling few laps around the Zandvoort circuit. It's a very historic circuit, of course, and the Dutch fans hopefully going to be giving us a show and something to watch in 2021. Cheering on, of course, Max Verstappen, their home hero. just waiting for everyone to quickly acclimatise themselves to their new setups and quickly get themselves a race strategy, get their fuel done, get what their plan's going to do, talk with their teammates and everything of the sort. The two Williams are going to lead us underway for a formation lap. So we will be going ahead of 18 laps of the Zandvoort circuit. Very, very tricky circuit to overtake, very tricky circuit to follow. So won't be too surprised if there's going to be some big gaps, especially towards the mid and end point of the race. But we'll have a quick look at what tyres everyone's on. So everyone on the grid opting for the soft compound tyres, except for Starry, who has gone for the medium tyres, which is definitely a very interesting choice and strategy. And he's going to be looking to take those probably long into the race. And then swap it for the soft compound tyres to have a really good run towards the end of the race. So welcome to the stream, everyone. I hope you are enjoying the race commentary and broadcast. Just getting underway for the first of two races tonight. So as you can see, everyone just weaving about a bit like snakes just to get that tyre temperature into their tyres. Obviously the red mark soft tyre is not too difficult to warm up. Obviously being the softer rubber, they can deform quite easily and gain that temperature easily compared to the hard or medium counterparts. But just warming them up, as you can see, to get the prime malleability, the prime grip ahead of the fire red lights, where obviously they need the optimal grip they can, and a bit of a touch between the two Williams before they round off on the grid. So just rounding off on the grid now, waiting for Twitch TV Max at the back of the grid to line up when we go to a green flag. Predict the pit stop strategy then, soft to medium or soft to hard, playing around about lap 8 to 14. F1 Insights powered by AWS. Here we go then, this is it. This is where the adrenaline's going to be pumping. This is where it's going to be kicking in. This is it. The 5 red lights ahead of the first of the two, the Dutch Grand Prix, and we're underway and racing, and the pole sitter gets away well, but so does his teammate coming into turn 1. Already alongside him, fighting for the race lead, is Ghost on the inside of Vardy. They go side by side through turn 1, really eager for both of them to get up the inside, but the Ghost managing to not get in front at the moment, but he's definitely going to be on his heels, but Vardy definitely managing to hold on very well, and there's already going to be a full course yellow at the back of the grid, so I don't know what's happened there. Perhaps there's been a bit of a collision further at the tail end of the grid, but it's definitely a full course yellow. It's not a safety car, fortunately, it's just a VSC, and we'll get underway very shortly, but a great first couple of corners, I should say, for Ghost, who managed to extend his lead. Vardy, who managed to extend his lead. Sorry, I'm making all kinds of mistakes, call me crafty, but Vardy managing to extend his lead up in front and holding on for dear life as it stands. But this VSC does give us a good chance to readjust the timings, so they do sort themselves out in time for the green flag. So VSC going green probably very soon, just everyone moving around, keeping that temperature into their tyres. Davila hanging on to P3. Gremlin managing to hang on to P4 as well, so it looks like everyone's pretty much held station into turn 1. Now negotiating turn 13 into 14, and hopefully we can get underway with green flags very soon. And Gremlin very eager to get himself going through the banking of turn 15. No DRS, of course, until lap 3, but he is going to go for the move. He's looking eager. He's got overtake engaged. Can he get it into the inside of turn 1? Going to think better of it and try and send it Davila in deep. We've got another timing glitch. We're on to lap 2 now. And on the way, 2 people into the pit lane. It looks like Sumo and Blue must have got caught up in a bit of an incident. So is Pals and Arm further back. But it looks like a top 4 fight up in front. Vardy managing to still hang off from Ghost, who's really eager behind his teammate. It looks like the Williams 1-2, as per usual, is the norm. Gremlin trying his hardest on his debut to get inside that top 3 and go for that debut podium. giving it everything and hopefully going to stick with the front guys, but as per usual, the Williams still managing to hang on to around about 90% ERS, so they're not using it whatsoever. We have got Starry on the medium tyres, looking like he's in his own sort of land out in P9. He's sort of just chilling in no man's land. That's a spinner of Ethan, though. He spun round coming out of turn 11, which is never ever good, and managed to get himself going, but it's definitely going to be a bit of a blunder. Here's Bitmappy under pressure from QB into turn 13. Not going to be much going on, though, as there's not too much of a heavy braking zone. So as per usual, with Zandvoort, definitely not the best for overtaking, unfortunately, but still a good show being put on. We've got the top four all within a second of each other, which is always good to see, and hopefully, mistakes aside, we can see a pretty good battle. Gremlin using a lot of that inside curb, and Gremlin's been spun round by that inside curb, managed to recover it and not return into traffic and stay out of the wall, importantly, but he's going to be losing a lot of time and falling down the grid to P8, so it looks like the raw pace is definitely there for the McLaren, but just lacking that little bit of consistency, and just a mistake while he's been pushing so hard to try and do well on his debut, but down into P9 unfortunately for the McLaren. Up in front we have got Davila on the back of Ghost and Vardy. The two Williams followed by the Haas, as we do normally see. We saw it last week in Brazil, these three fighting very vigorously. Davila really pushing to stay with him, though. You can see by the energy recovery system he's using, already down to about 14%, which is very usual from Davila. We do see that quite a lot from him. Just goes to show how much he is pushing to stay with the front two. Sticking on the back of him, we've got Gremlin on the back of S-Man, trying to make those moves crucially now while he can, and try and recover as quickly as he can. It looks like he's recomposed himself very nicely to get himself back into the swing of things, and he's going to be looking to make amends and get himself some redemption for his earlier spin. DRS wide open to the guy in front, giving himself that extra 20 kph with overtake. Can he pull to the inside and get the move done? Yes, he can, to the inside. The McLaren claims the racing line, and S-Man left completely helpless to defend. The championship leader in a bit of a no man's land. He's getting chased down by Ted in the Red Bull, who's looking to make up some time on the man in front of him. 5-second penalties across the grid. Arm, Ginger, Bitmappy and Starry all with 5 seconds. Unfortunately, not had the best start to the race. Probably some contact under the virtual safety car. The DRS wide open, so it looks like once again we are going to be seeing a little bit of a DRS train between the front three, like we did see in Brazil. But Vardy leading the way pretty comfortably. He's definitely got the pace ahead of Ghost and Davila to hang on and don't feel any pressure. That's the important thing, is to not feel pressure while you're out in front, especially at a circuit like Zandvoort where it's so easy to make a mistake. But as it stands, it looks like the two Williams definitely have the pace, and they're not looking too interested in fighting. Maybe Ghost can look to the inside into turn one. Just needs to get that better run out of the penultimate corner through the banking, and he can get it done into turn one. But just going to sit behind at 4 now. Chucking it through turn 4. Ooh, that's very wide from Ghost. That's going to allow Davila to have a little look, and Ghost spun round. Ghost is round coming over turn 4, and he's in the wall, and he's lost his front wing end plate. So Ghost very much spun round into the wall and taking a very big trip to his good old friend Barry R, and I'm sure his pants are going to be looking very moist after that one. Unfortunately, big lock up through turn 8. And yeah, it looks like his front wing end plate is not looking too good. And just off turn 4, he went a bit deep coming in, got a bit too eager on the power coming out, and it's a very easy mistake to do. And Ghost just becoming a victim of that on this occasion, unfortunately. But that has nonetheless promoted Scott into P3, so back onto the podium for the championship leader. As it stands, will be losing. Actually, no, he won't be losing the championship lead, as Ghost has fallen down a little bit. So he's just about safe to hold on to that championship lead as it stands. Just approaching a third of the way through the race. We've got Tier on the back of QB. This is for P11. Looks like we've got a nice little battle going on here for P10, 11 and 12. So the Alfa Romeo all over the back of the Renault into turn 14. And it looks as though Ghost is into the pit lane to repair that damaged wing that he did have after spinning at turn 4. So he's going to be losing a lot of time. To the inside goes Tier into turn 1. Very nicely done. QB concedes that very nicely and just allows Tier, who's got some great pace, to try and shoot off and catch Bitmappy. Because Bitmappy, when he puts his head down, is a very competent driver. And Tier is going to be looking to get onto the back of him and get within that 1 second sweet spot for DRS range. Ted as well, all over the back of Scott. He's looking feisty and racy between the Red Bull and the Ferrari Scott trying to put on a good show for the Orange Army, who have no Max Verstappen to cheer on, so they're going to be looking to cheer on Scott, the fan favourite, with DRS wide open, coming off of turn 11. Scott to the inside, into 12. Can Ted look to the inside? No, he's just going to think better of it, and Scott with a bit of a lock-up. So, looks like Ted's going to sit back and wait for a chance maybe into turn 1 if he can get a good enough launch. Chucking it through 14, needs to be really committed, not use so much of the inside curb up in front. Scott does have a little bit extra ERS than Ted behind, so he's using that to his full advantage to try and defend this podium place and stop Ted getting himself within the top 3. Into turn 1, got that 3rd gear, got that 4th gear, 5th gear, into turn 2, chucking it through into turn 3. Very easy to lock up through turn 4, and Scott very nicely trail braking to show that ABS. It is possible to not lock up into turn 4 with no ABS. I do find myself struggling a lot through there, because you are finding that you are turning while very much braking, and it's a very, very tricky corner to get right. But Scott proving that he has got the pace up in front of Ted through this infield section of turn 8, 9 and 10. He's looking pretty quick to catch Scott, but he's holding his nerve. Scott, who definitely has just been one of the most consistent drivers of the field, apart from the top sort of 3 of Davila, Vardy and Ghost, but he's kept it consistent, picked up the pieces where anything's gone wrong, and he finds himself leading the championship. So completely and utterly fair play to him, and he's just kept his nose clean, had the pace where he needs to have the pace, and he's doing a great job as it stands. He's under pressure from the Red Bull though, who is looking very eager to get himself past. Through turn 15, the infamous banking that was added in for new stuff, but into the pit lane, down the gears as quick as he can, into 50 miles an hour, applying the pit limit onto some soft, yellow striped medium tyres. He's off the softs and onto the mediums. So here's Scott. Where is he going to come out on track? He doesn't want to be coming out in traffic. He looks like he's going to be coming out just behind S-Man, and may need to negotiate some traffic. So Ted is free ahead of Scott. Ghost with the fastest lap, so proving how much pace he has got bottled up in that Williams car. Hopefully those medium tyres could go to the end. I'm sure they should be able to, no doubt. But that's been definitely going to be less than ideal for the man who is trying to make a bid for the championship here in APPF1. And there's a car spun round. I don't know, didn't quite catch who that is. Is that a Ferrari? We'll go on board with Davila, who hopefully can show us who is that. It looks like Ginger Prince has spun round. The man currently in last place has spun round coming off turn 11. So luckily it wasn't Scott or Tier, who was fighting for a very good position as it stands. And it looks already like Scott has managed to catch up onto the back of S-Man, trying to get through as cleanly and efficiently as possible. S-Man doesn't want to be holding up Scott here. He wants to just sort of let him through in a sense, because if he holds him up, he's only going to be damaging his own races, S-Man. And there should be some very good racecraft to just say to let him through, and he does that very nicely. So good sportsmanship there from S-Man to let Scott through as Ted is into the pit lane. So where is he going to come out? There's Scott. Has he managed to get the overcut? They're going to be side by side on the exit, Ted and Scott into turn 3. Who's going to back out? It looks like Scott's managed to claim that position over Ted, but Ted is going to importantly have the fresher tyres and looking very, very squirmy off turn 3 there. Is Ted, but he's going to be looking at very eager to get himself up and past Scott. Through into turn 8, proceeding into 9, and hopefully he can find himself latching on to the back of Scott pretty quickly. Vardy though kept his nose clean, he's kept consistent. 1.2 seconds is the gap out in front, so very nice stuff from Vardy, proving his pace as per usual, showing why he is probably one of the quick drivers in the community. Try and catch after making some moves and making some important at that sort of as Starry and Wayne and S-Man. So both coming in for some yellow marked medium tyres. Ted losing a bit of ground to Scott. expose himself and acclimatise himself to these new, less grippier tyres, and he's going to be back on the charge, setting a green sector to the first sector, personal best. So he has definitely got the pace to keep with Scott. Just the question is, as well, through turn 12 into 13. We've also got Sumo, Max going side by side. Are they? Yes, they are. Sumo around the outside. Done, very impressively done from Sumo, who is no stranger to going around the outside of people. Actually, he's managed to make such an unorthodox space on the Netherlands circuit, so he's done a very good job of that to get himself up into the top. Managed to get onto the back of Scott already after only a few corners since we last Red Bull and at the Ferrari. Through 6 and 7, which then proceeds into 8. Really got to be committed. Bit of a cautionary tap on the brakes to just get the front bit in. Obviously, as you brake, all the weight goes to the front, which is definitely going to help get the nose turn in. So through the fast corners, it does help just a tad to just brake, get the weight to the front, so you can turn it a little bit better. I'm sure that was the theory behind Ted, just taking that little bit of a tap rather than a lift. But he is well within the DRS of Scott. He hasn't got a lot of any energy in. And the gears on exit to get the power down as efficiently as he can into 14. A bit of a lock up from Scott, but still managed to carry overall better pace. And Ted using drag reductions into that one. Not going to be close enough to launch a challenge. We're 2/3 of the way through lap 12 of 18. So the race is definitely due. Does it? That's why I've ordered a new mic, but it just sounds as if the PlayStation is about to take off in the background. So yeah, it's a bit bad that one, but hopefully it's sorted now and won't be an issue too profoundly for the rest of it. I do think it is that. It's because the controller loses connection to the PlayStation, I think, but hopefully it won't be an issue for too much longer, as Scott and Ted are having a very crucial battle here for the final podium place, and Ted really putting the pressure on Scott now to keep on the back of him. Sounds better now. Okay, cheers, mate. And I hope you are enjoying it. Make sure to click the like button if you are enjoying the stream, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and make sure you do subscribe. Already past 370 subscribers, which is completely astounding, and over 150 gains since I started YouTube properly back in November. I had to restart my YouTube channel properly and was left with only 200 subscribers when I was 9. So the support has been completely and utterly mega. But Ted, yeah, definitely really putting the pressure on Scott and really looking eager, very sideways of turn 4, and managing to catch that very, very well nonetheless from Ted, who's so, you can tell the aggression in his driving, really chucking it in these corners to get the car turned in and be all over the back of that Ferrari, who's more calm, composed, and doesn't want to risk anything. He's in P3, he's got the position as it stands, and he's just been really smooth with his driver inputs, really smooth, keeping the tyres alive, keeping his energy recovery system above that 30% range so he can just use it when he needs to. But Ted is giving it everything. He's got nothing to lose. He wants that podium. He's going to look to the inside of turn 12, but it's not going to come to much at the moment. Through into 13. Just loops around, doesn't want to use any of that inside high curb. He is a lot closer to Scott, just needs a good run through 14, use that inside curb, but not really something you want to do. Uses the overtake early, which is going to burn it early and not give him the momentum he needs. He's got the drag reduction system. Scott, of course, with a lot of ERS to use as well. Is he going to be closing enough to go for the move into turn 1? Again, just having to close the gap enough, and just can't quite get it done into turn 1, and that's the issue with the Zandvoort circuit. You find yourself struggling to follow through the infield sections, you know, from turn 4 all the way to turn 14, and you don't find yourself very close coming off the bank and to use the energy effectively. We've also got Starry on the back of Paus, who's had a pretty quiet race nonetheless, and the Haas boys looking to chase after Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship. So Davila being in P2 is definitely going to help, but Scott in P3 is going to negate that by quite some margin. all over the back of Paus there with Starry on those fresh soft tyres, so hopefully he can get past for his sake pretty quickly. Pretty sideways through turn 4. Very nicely saved, though, nonetheless, from the Red Bull, who's now got Tyr looking up his inside, who's also very sideways off turn 4, which is so very easy to do. And it looks like the bottle lid is very open between these guys. And Ethan as well, looking eager to get his way through. Hopefully his son William is cheering him on at home. And everyone at home cheering him on the stream. But he's picked himself up a 3-second time penalty, which is the least of what he wants to do. Definitely less than ideal coming through into turn 11. Starry pretty much sideways coming off there, though, and that's going to give Tyr the run to get himself up the inside. Starry looking to the inside. Is Tyr going to go even deeper? Send it under brakes. Thinks a little bit better of it, and a bit of a lock-up. Thinks it's only for 12th place. Not on the inside to send it up the inside, but just can't get the nose turn in. And that's something everyone's been struggling with. It's dirty, yeah, it's definitely struggling with everyone, which is a huge shame. DRS wide open, so can Tyr launch an attack into turn 1? He's got literally no energy recovery system left. Can he lick it, stick it, send it? Yes, he can. Very late under brakes. Starry going to turn across him, though, and that's going to be contact. And Tyr sent round in the Alfa Romeo. Big calamity from him. And yeah, just sent it a little bit too deep under brakes. Starry tried to turn into defend, and as per usual with Roadmasters, the guy on the inside is always going to be the one that ends up spinning. Which is just unfortunate. Whether it was in real life, it probably would be the guy on the outside spinning. But nonetheless, very heartbreaking. Driving a great race, and that was going to be a great move up the inside if he could get it stuck. Here is Ted, 2 tenths to the back of Scott. It looks like a race-long battle between these two, and they're trying their hardest to get on the back of each other. And Scott hanging on brilliantly. He's kept himself composed. He's kept himself calm. Coming off turn 4, very sensitive on the power wrist. Ted, not too sure if he's been running no traction control, but it definitely looks like it by the amount of caution and tendency he's been taking on the throttle. Ghost managing to recover pretty well up to P6, using that pace to drive himself still into a top 6 position. So very good drive from him nonetheless, despite the incident that occurred with him coming off turn 4. Trying to chase down his teammate, and it is a very easy mistake to do, and one we've seen a lot of people make. Who else has had to make a recovery drive? We've had to see Gremlin make a recovery drive as well after being at turn 1. He currently sits ahead of Ghost in P5, so he's definitely got pace, and he's showing some great potential for future APPF1 races. But has Ted finally got the run he needs? He's looking a lot closer. Is he going to use overtake on the inside of Scott? No, he's going to wait about and just sit behind. That was probably his best opportunity of the bunch to actually send it. But he's going to sit behind in turn 1. We're onto the penultimate lap of the race now already. So these guys are not waiting about. They've managed to get this race done pretty quickly. But Scott with a big lock-up manages to bite it back for the exit. Using that camber of turn 4 to get himself nicely turned through. Use that to turn the car, and he's done that very effectively. If we're further back, we'll have a little look at Starry and Paus. Give him a bit of airtime. The Australian man who did take a podium a couple of weeks ago at Monza is under pressure from Ethan, who looks to the outside on those medium tyres. Can he get it done around the outside? Brakes super late around the outside. Doesn't get the car turned in as effectively as he'd have liked, but Starry looking to the inside. Ethan has completely knocked him around the outside, and Paus all over the back of S-Man. So this is a four-way fight for P10, and up the inside goes Starry once again. He's sideways, there's contact with him and Starry's been sent into the wall. He's been the one worse off. Very easy to do again, sideways between them both coming through turn 4, and I'll just have another look at that on stream. Because I didn't quite catch what completely happened. So it looks like Starry went back up the inside of Ethan through turn 4, had a little look, couldn't get the car turned as effectively as he'd want. Ethan very sideways coughed the exit, and yeah, big slide from both, and managing luckily to hang on to that. But I've missed it. Here we go. This is what we've been building up to for the entire race. Ted looking to go around the outside of Scott, but couldn't quite get the move done. That was his last ditch effort. We're on to the final lap of the race now. The final podium place, and Scott has managed to hold on through thick and thin. Can Ted launch a last ditch effort into the final couple of corners through turn 8? He's got 7 corners to go. He's running out of time. He's running out of opportunities. Is the Red Bull trying to get himself back onto that podium? But Scott really holding his nerve and proving why he's the championship leader. through turn 11 for the finals. And then it doesn't look like Ted's going to be able to get the opportunity to do it. He's going to give it everything in case Scott makes a bit of a mistake into turn 12, braking at the 100 board very nicely. Use that curb, closing under brakes, but can't get the car where he needs to be. Maybe if Scott has a bit of a slide coming off the exit of turn 14 or 15, goes in a bit deep, could run the curb. Vardy is your race winner up in front. Very consistent race from those two up in front. Not much we saw from them except for the first stint, but across the line Scott managed to hold on, and Gremlin in P5 on debut. Ghost a couple of seconds later in P6. Bluey will be waiting for a while to finish in a remarkable P7 for the Ferrari, so still some good showing for Ferrari in their bid against Haas in the Constructors. Weaving across the line is Wayne, who will finish P8 on track. Is it going to be anything lower on penalties? Sumo across the line takes P8. And Paus looking for a top 10 finish. He's managed to hold on very well, get past Esmond, get past the traffic. Had a bit of a quiet race after a shunt at turn 1 across the line in P10. QB now rounding off the banking to come home in P11. S-Man across the line. He's got Ethan and Tier, who could be having a run to the line. Tier looking to get P13, just going to run out of time, and Ethan hangs on to P13. S-Man in 12th. Hephaestus in P15. I'll try and pronounce that better from now on. And the rest back markers being lapped, and of course not needing to complete the final lap. But nonetheless, a pretty decent race from Zandvoort. Obviously not much you can expect in terms of great racing, but they still managed to put on a good show, with Scott and Ted having a race-long battle between themselves, which is always great to see. But Williams taking the top step. Interestingly enough, he's not joined by his teammate, and now up to 10 people watching. You joined just at the end of the first race. But nonetheless, it is a pleasure to have you, and hopefully you can... Holy moly, 17 laps on the mediums isn't fun. I wouldn't imagine it would be to Paus, but a great drive nonetheless to take home at P10. Vardy wins the race then ahead of Davila, and the championship leader, fan favourite, Scott, rounding off the top 3. Ted in P4, Gremlin P5, Ghost P6, Bluey P7, Sumo P8, Wayne P9, and Paus rounding off the top 10 after his first lap incident, and managing to take those mediums for 17 laps. Remarkable stuff. QB in P11, S-Man P12, Ethan P13, Tier 14th, Arm 15th, Bitmappy 16th, Starry 17th, Max 18th, and Ginger Prince rounding off the race in P19. No retirements, luckily enough, in today's race, so it's going to be a full reverse grid for Canada. So Ginger Prince on pole position. Be interesting to see who can come through the field and take the crown at Montreal. But nonetheless, Paus, very well done, man. And if you're not already subscribed to the LP Paus channel, you definitely should. Spun the wheels up at the start and lost the back end. No way. Ah, that sucks. That is horrible. But nonetheless, you drove very well to bring it back, and the pace was definitely there. So, you know, you'll be starting P10 or P9, I think, for the reverse grid race. So still the potential is there. Just a bit of a break while they do sort out the grid. Obviously, with no, unlike GT Sport, there is no set reverse grid option. But on F1, you sort of have to just set it manually, which they do a pretty good job of and do it really efficiently. So there is no trouble at all. And my laptop's frozen, which is lovely. So I have actually purchased a new mic. I did try it for like 30 minutes. I got it set up about 10 minutes before. And again, I just want to say thank you again to Mr. and Mrs. AP, who once again checking into the stream. So I hope you guys do enjoy cheering on your son in his bid to get himself in the fight with Ferrari and the Constructors. So it's a pleasure to have you guys, and I'm glad you enjoy the streams and and enjoy watching. So Gremlin, I spun turn 1, pulled back to P5. Definitely, mate, you did a very, very good job. I did catch it on stream, actually, and just use that inside curb a little bit too much. They're too high at Zandvoort. You can't really use them. But you brought it back very well. and you've got the reverse grid race yet, so you can definitely show your pace around the streets of Canada. So it looks like there was a bit of a massive shake-up into turn 1 on lap 1. I didn't quite catch all of it, but it looks like a lap 1 incident once again in APPF1. It does happen quite often, but the majority of the time the racing is fantastic, and we're never ever robbed of a good race in APPF1, especially the sprint races, because, you know, I commentate on them. They have to be good, they have to be fantastic. Yeah, so probably around about another couple of minutes or so. I put that down to a lack of practice and talent here. So you either practice more or you become more talented. One of the two. Awful race, Max. It's all a learning experience. Take every loss as a win. You learn more from losing than you do from winning. At least, you know, take the positives. You had good pace. You might not have had the race you'd have wanted, but definitely had some good pace. Moosey, this will be interesting. I predict about two years worth of penalties across the grid cumulatively. Did I say that right? Cumulatively. There we go. That's better. I don't have a cup of tea. I've only got a bottle of water, so I can't even drink a tea. Sumo, you definitely recovered well, mate. You finished, I think it was P8 in the end, wasn't it? And you definitely recovered well after the incidents on lap 1. When you're going to do the Q&A, when I get a chance to, man, I'll definitely record it soon. I've got the questions ready. I just need to sit down and actually get it done. Get someone to bring you a tea? Yeah, but you'll hear the door squeak. That's the thing, because I know I get stick for it. You'll be like, Ree! Or whatever. Because I was in a call with some Dutchies yesterday trying to stream the 6 hours of Spa, which I got dragged into like 20 minutes before it was going to start. I got dragged into the 6 hours of Spa, and it only lasted about 6 laps. And then they mentioned about my door squeaking, and yeah, I just know someone will do it, because Scott does all the time. That's why I give him stick as well. I'll get a cup of tea after, and it looks like we are readying up. You need some. I need some WD-40. I really do. I just need a new door. I need to burn that one and get a new one, I think. But nonetheless, after what was a great opening race, we travel across the rather oversized pond that is the Atlantic to the renowned streets of Montreal for the Canadian GP. The circuit Gilles Villeneuve named, of course, after the late Gilles Villeneuve, who took the home win at the first iteration of the Grand Prix back in 1978. 14 corners and 4.3 kilometers will negotiate a lap with speeds averaging about 130 miles an hour. With strict corner curtains, penalties could play a massive factor in tonight's proceedings. Who will come out on top in tonight's reverse grid race? Certainly stay tuned to find out while we wait for everyone to load in. Hopefully you can turn it around in this race. Not literally, Max. You don't want to be turning it around 180 degrees, because that wouldn't be good. But by the metaphorical turning it around, I would definitely say you definitely can, because you have shown outbursts of pace and you are improving it with every race. So hopefully it all goes well for you, my man, and I cheer you on, and I'm wishing you the best of luck ahead of tonight's Canadian Grand Prix. So the door did squeak, and my mum did bring me in a cup of tea, which, you know, I've got one now, so it's all good. Didn't even need to ask, she just brought me one in. And it's bloody hot, I'll tell you that much. Do you ever get them ones where they burn your tongue? You drink too much, underestimating how hot it's going to be, and then it just burns your tongue, and you're just sat there like, ah. It was one of them ones. But yeah, lots of penalties in this race. Very easy to do. We're going to be led around the formation lap by Ginger Prince, who is going to be on pole position. We'll have a quick look at the tyre strategy. So everyone on softs, apart from a QB, Sumo and Vardy, opting for the alternate strategy. But Ginger Prince will be on the top of the grid on pole position, prime position to take the race win. Max will be lining up and joining him on the front row. Starry in P3, Bitmappy in P4, Arm in P5, Tier P6, Ethan P7, S-Man P8, QB P9 and Paus right in the middle there in P10. So he's going to be looking to make his way up the grid. He's definitely got the pace to do so. Wayne in P11, Sumo P12, Bluey P13, Ghost in a very good position after the feature race in P14, Gremlin in 15th, Ted 16th, Scott 17th, Davlin 18th, and Vardy in P19, rounding off the grid and on the medium tyres. So again, it's going to be 18 laps of the circuit Gilles Villeneuve here in Canada. Sort of a half street circuit, half permanent circuit. I'm not too sure what the business is with the Gilles Villeneuve. I've heard reports saying it's a full street circuit. I've heard reports saying it's a half street circuit. I'm not entirely sure. Certainly this bit is a street circuit. I'm pretty sure anyway. But it is no stranger to some good racing. We saw in 2019 with Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton the massive controversy, or the controversy, however you would like to say it, the massive controversy that saw Vettel be given a 5-second time penalty when arguably he maybe shouldn't have done, but it cost him the race win back in 2019. Lining up on to the grid now is Ginger Prince, Max, Starry on the lot. So we've got 11 people watching going into the sprint race. This is the action. This is where it happens, guys. This is where you want to be tuning in, because this is where we see some of the most remarkable racing, especially around such an iconic circuit. Turn 1 and 2 very much cut back on each other. We could see some 2x2, 1 and 2. And then at turn 3 is definitely not somewhere you want to be overtaken, but nonetheless, we'll have to wait and see. Here we go then. We're going to the 5 red lights here at Canada. We're to 5 red lights and we are underway and racing in Canada, and Max gets away very well. He's already alongside the Alfa Romeo going into turn 1. We got another timing glitch, but they are going to be going 2x2 around the outside. Goes Max, can't quite claim the corner, so he's going to have to settle for P2. Starry looking up the inside of Arm, who's looking at very eager to get off to a good start. Ethan and is that Tier as well up the inside of Arm, coming up into P4. Very nicely done, and there's contact between Ethan and Arm. Further back, they've driven each other off the track, and Wayne managing to get himself up the inside of Paus, who has had a pretty decent start. There's Yellow Flash, who set the one. He's going to have to brake to avoid the AlphaTauri in front of him. He's under pressure from Ghost, who's had a remarkable start, already up into the top 9, I believe. I'm not too sure because of the time themselves sort themselves out, but here goes Paus on the inside of Bitmappy very cleanly and nicely up the inside. But it looks like a very good start for our front row, and a side by side between Wayne and QB through is this now turn 8 and 9 coming in to turn 10, the very prestigious hairpin that leads on to the Casino Straight. Big wave of understeer from QB, but will go on board with Ghost. He's managed to get himself up the inside of Bitmappy on a charge for the race lead. He's got the pace and he's definitely looking at very good. Vardy as well looking to get himself up the inside, and he's followed Ted and Scott through the traffic on those medium tyres, so he's definitely still got the pace. And Davila under pressure from Ethan into turn 13 and 14, the wall of champions. Bitmappy into the pits, and Scott letting Ted's made a very much easier job of getting that done on this occasion than he did in Zandvoort. And there's a big pile up coming through turn 1 and 2. It looks like Starry's facing the wrong way, the Australian, not upside down, but facing the wrong way nonetheless, and that's going to be him plummeting down the order and yellow flag, so Ghost being compromised because of that, and Paus cleanly up into P5, so he's had a remarkable start to the race. And Wayne up the inside around the outside of Max, who's been sideways into the wall. There was contact with Tier and he's been spun across the track. Absolute calamity in these earlier stages of Canada, and we're only on lap 2 and we've already seen more calamity and more action than the entirety of Zandvoort, but Max having to retire from the session. That's yellow flash who set the 2. Is that going to be a safety car? Potentially. The pack is still very much bunched up. Here's Ted on the back of Sumo going to the inside. So Ted's going to go to the outside, around the outside of the hairpin. Bit of a lock up from Sumo. So Scott is going to get the cutback on the both of them. They're going to be 3 abreast coming off the hairpin. This is only for P7, but it's such a crucial move for these guys, the faster guys, to make. He's going to be on the outside of Scott coming into the final chicane, but he's not going to have the momentum. Sumo looking to get past his teammate, the 2 Renaults, making sort of a mobile chicane. And into turn 13 and 14, Scott having to hold station for the time being. Vardy trying to hold on as it stands, but Ted got such a good run off turn 14. They're going to be 2 by 2, the 2 Renaults and the Red Bull and the Ferrari. Up the inside goes Sumo on QB, and around the outside goes Scott. Maybe, no, he's going to open up the inside for Ted nonetheless. Diaz now enabled. We're on to lap 3 of 18, a 6th of the way through the race into turn 3 and 4. But up the front, have we got anything happening? We got Ghost making those crucial moves up in front. Wayne and Ginger Prince having a bit of a tussle. He's sandwiched between the 2 Alfa Romeos. Lewis McLeod will be likely to hear me say that, because he had a bit of a go at me for saying an Alfa Romeo sandwich. It's not an Alfa Romeo sandwich, it's a sandwich between 2 Alfa Romeos. But nonetheless, Tier on the back of Wayne, putting the pressure on, and his teammate giving him a helping hand to the inside of turn 10. Not going to come to fruition on this occasion. Ghost looking to the inside, taking a much tighter line. This is such a crucial move for him to make. There's Ted on the inside of QB for P8, and Vardy going to follow him through. So QB losing out 2 times there, and Davila needing to get his way through to stay with the faster guys at the front. Here is Tier. They're going to be 3 abreast into the final chicane. Here's Tier on the inside to take the race lead. Yes, he does, and Wayne holding station in P2. Ginger Prince managed to get off worse from that, and Ghost with the backwards momentum is going to slingshot past from 4th all the way into 2nd. Now he's in 3rd. On the outside is Wayne. He's going to take the track away from him, give him the room on the inside. Ghost still leaving it on the inside is the Mercedes, but goes around the outside of him. Very nicely done to claim at P2. He's now on for P1. He's uncaged. The line is unleashed. And here's Ted on the back of Scott. These two not giving each other a break whatsoever. The 2 rivals in the Ferrari and the Red Bull. Ginger Prince getting swamped from Sumo. He's gone from 1st to 6th in 1 lap. Sumo around the outside. It will turn into the inside. And Scott with the backwards momentum again, going to slingshot past a compromised Ginger Prince, who's gone from 1st to 8th in a sequence of corners, which is definitely not what he would have wanted to see. And Vardy, bit of contact with him. That Williams having to cut the chicane to avoid that. And Bluey past Davila. So Davila getting completely swamped. It looks as though the traffic is definitely making it a headache for the faster drivers up in front. Who is that very deep? That's Scott very deep into turn 10. Very, very big lock up there, and that's allowed Ted to get through, but he's managed to recover it nicely. Here's Vardy to the inside of Ginger Prince. It should be a pretty plain sailing move for him to make, giving him plenty of room on the inside. Only for P8 and 9, but it's such a crucial move. It's as if it's for the lead, because these faster guys are coming through so vigorously and with such pace that is pretty much for the race lead. But here's Ted on the inside of Sumo into turn 1. Very nicely done from the Red Bull, who's been left to dry around the outside from Sumo on the alternate strategy. He's going to keep it to the inside and hang on to that position. But Ted going to be left to the outside of turn 3. Going to have to hang back and avoid that one. Doesn't want to make a Sebastian Vettel mistake like Sebastian did back in 2019. Closing on Wayne for the podium place. Could we see a Palf's podium once again? This is going to be pretty remarkable stuff if we can in Canada. In Canada. That's a bit of a mouthful nonetheless, but Palf's closing on nonetheless, as we got a bit of a battle going on here between the faster guys trying to negotiate their way through the traffic of the guys. That is the nature of the reverse grid race. We see a lot of good racing between the faster guys as they're forced to be squished together. Here's Vardy looking to the inside of Scott. Gonna have to sit back on this occasion. There's a bit of contact between Ted and Scott. Ted luckily ghosting, so Scott going into the back of Ted a little bit there, sent him a bit wide, or Ted locking the rears, not too sure what's happened. But here's Paus to the podium place to the inside of turn 13, going to give him a world of room, and there's Paus into P3. Remarkable stuff. He needs to get his head down, push, and get it done as Ghost. I did miss, got into the race lead over Tier into turn 13 and 14, so he's now been unleashed, and he's looking to claim the race lead, I'm sure. Here's Ted back on Bluey into turn 1. He likes those moves into turn 1. The Ferrari conceding it, looking up the inside, maybe no last-ditch effort, clinching at straws, and he's going to claim that position with Ted getting the power down around the outside. Will it be the outside for turn 3 again? Yes, it will, but he's going to claim the racing line and take that position away, take the track away from Bluey, who had to be forced to the inside. So Ferrari down in P8 and 9, while the two Hasses are up in 3rd and 13th. So maybe the consistency of points may help them a little bit. But Scott and Bluey not having the best of starts to this race nonetheless. Still great pace from both of them shown. Just couldn't get it done. Into turn 10, Scott not going to be having the best of views. The two incidents he's had in this race have happened at this corner, so not the best of luck. Here's Vardy getting himself past the Renault to the outside, both on those medium tyres, both on that alternate strategy, and Vardy completely and utterly dominating the soft runners with those medium tyres. Obviously, the soft being the grippiest but more abrasive tyre, the mediums being a nice medium, slightly slower than the softs, but slightly faster than the hards, which are the extreme right, and will wear out the slowest, but be the slowest. And Vardy showing up the soft runners with his superior pace, it must be said. But Wayne has definitely kept Palfs honest. Bit of a mistake through turn 3 and 4 has allowed Palfs to take a better line and extend that gap out of the 1 second range. Here's Ted on the back of Sumo, who has definitely been a bit swamped in these middle stages. We're obviously a third of the way through the race now. My apologies for the hiccup there. But he's been swamped. We've had some remarkable racing, and I'm definitely curious to see when the pit stops will come into factor in this race. Obviously the undercut or the overcut could work. We got a lot of mixture on strategy, some on the medium, some on the softs. Nonetheless, here is a soft on the outside of a medium. Here's Ted on the outside of Sumo, who's going to take the track away and claim it. And there is Bluey back up the inside of Ted. Had a little look to the inside, took the tighter line, but Ted with the better run off the corner is just going to stay clear of that, and Vardy managing to cleanly get up the inside of the Mercedes, who tried very much to claim that position. And into the pits goes Wayne, luckily not into the back of Palfs, who's into the pits, and Vardy sticking out on his medium tyres, looking to go soft for the next stint. It looks like most of the soft runners are in. Palfs is in. There's Bluey to the inside of Sumo, who's got a cutback. Scott looking in the wings. Bluey very deep through turn 2. Sumo with a nice little cutback to get it back bitten, and on the run into turn 3 they're going to be side by side. Is Bluey going to go around the outside? Going to think a lot better of that, with Sumo being given a 3-second time penalty. So a lot of penalties already been dished out in this, with a 1:11.9 for the fastest lap. Going to be taking home that extra point. But we have got a few comments coming in. They're not loaded quite on the stream just yet, so give me a moment if I do take a moment. I have had a nightmare night tonight, mate. It happens. Take the positives. You know, you had pace. You were right up there. You just need to work on the consistency just a little bit. Tweak some setup changes maybe, and you'll be right up there in no time, man. Any tips, I'm more than happy to ask. Well, I'm the commentator. Don't ask me. Ask the likes of Vardy and Ghost. They're the ones you want to be asking. They're the quick guys. But here's Bluey with DRS, the drag reduction system, giving him that extra 20 kph speed down this back casino straight. Who's coming into the pits this time then? Bluey looking to the inside. He's going to pull off and wait. And there's Scott completely flat out into the pit lane. Luckily, pit assist on his team, strapping on the yellow striped medium tyres. And coming out just behind Ghost, the effective race leader, the net race leader as it stands. Be interesting to see where his teammate factors in, though. He's on the medium tyres, he's got the pace, and he's got the clear air now to push. This could get very interesting between the two Williams, as per usual, as it does every night. Scott coming out on those yellow striped medium tyres as well. Through turn 2 then, straight line turn 1 into turn 2. Halfway through the race, lap 9 of 18, and there's definitely been no shortage of action. Gremlin, I won't read out his full name, it's not particularly PG-13, it must be said. So I'll just call him Gremlin for the time being, or what I used to do with me relays, just call him the McLaren. Either one works, but he's on the back of Palfs, looking to harshly snatch away another podium for the Haas driver, and the Haas driver, I'm sure, looking very eager to hang on to that, what is going to be a net podium place. Hopefully he can hang on to it, because it would be remarkable scenes if he can take the podium. I'll stop talking about the podium now to not jinx it. Already looking to defend, but the Gremlin is all over the back. Bluey is into the pit lane for some, I'm guessing, medium tyres. Yeah, it does make sense, and he's going to be plummeting down the order. So Palfs up into P5. Very nicely done. And it looks like the strategy is coming back into his own now. He's pitted a lap earlier than most soft runners, and those soft, those fresher medium tyres than everyone's older softs is definitely going to be playing into his hands. But Ethan on the back of Scott. It looks like Scott managed to get past the traffic pretty well. Ethan on the hard tyres after a first lap incident, looking to take them to the end. We have got Tyr on the back of Ghost. He's definitely kept him honest as Tyr, who is always a pretty quick driver. I've raced against him in some 5-lappers myself. He's definitely not one to be shied at. Obviously, gets a bit unlucky from time to time, but he's definitely up there with the guys on some raw pace. Just doesn't get the race results that he thoroughly deserves. But he's in P4 at the moment, up there with the likes of Ghost and Vardy, and definitely has some great pace. 11 people watching and 11 likes. Thanks, guys. Appreciate the support, and I hope you are enjoying this race as much as I am. Canada, definitely no shortage of action tonight then, and Bluey all over the back of Wayne. So the Ferrari and Mercedes once again having it out at Canada. Just in the 2020 cars, which we didn't see get to go around the streets of Montreal in 2020. Hopefully we can be back for 2021. Here he is in the slipstream. It's going to be a bold move to make into the inside of turn 13 and 14. Can he get it done? Yes, he can. The Mercedes looking on the outside, but the track is just going to get harshly swept away from him. But here's Vardy now finally into the pit lane for some red mark soft tyres. Where is he going to come out? There's Davila on the inside. He's managed to get Davila very nicely, does Vardy. So he's up into P6. We'll have a quick look at the penalty situation. So Palf's only with 3 seconds, Tyr with 6, and Ghost with 3. Gremlin with 8. So I'm guessing that's a 5 seconds with a 3 seconds added on. That would be 8 seconds, of course. Vardy with none, Davila with none. So it looks like these guys have kept themselves clean throughout. And Moose is definitely going to make a comment about the door squeaking just then. I just know it, but we won't talk about it. Here's Gremlin all over the back of Palf. So he's showing some impressive pace on his debut night, nonetheless. And I've raced him a couple of nights ago with the 5-lappers. He's definitely a very quick driver, and I had a great race with him around Silverstone, which I'm sure he'll remember. And it was pretty remarkable stuff. But Ghost has been picked up another 3-second time penalty, so that's going to be bringing his total to 6. There's Gremlin into the pit lane. So there's going to be a pit stop down on Paus, who currently sits in P3. Ted unleashed to try and chase after him, and Vardy on the soft tyres hopefully doesn't snatch this harshly away from him. They're closing him down. Paus is under pressure. This is where he usually spins, but hopefully he can hang on in the starry round coming off. I believe that's turn 8 and 9. Quick sip of tea while the race has calmed down just a little bit. My voice is definitely hurting, as it usually does with APPF1. I don't really have my voice hurting with most leagues, but certainly with APPF1 it does. But he's got Ted for company on fresh and medium tyres. Has Palfs. Can he hang on? He's got more energy recovery system. The energy recovery system, very clever. Designed. Obviously, when you brake, the brake pads push against each other to create friction. That transfers the kinetic into the heat, and then the heat or thermal will then be used to power a battery that gives them an extra 140 brake horsepower. And you think your road car at home, probably, unless you've got some super Lamborghini type thing, is probably around about 80 horsepower. So it's probably about double your road car extra in Formula 1 cars. And they can use that for a specific amount of time with the battery as well, as is these turbo hybrid cars. Vardy with a 111.119, just short of a 111.11. But he's definitely got pace, and Tyr has brought it back to Ghost. In fact, he's definitely kept him honest for the race lead up in front, with Vardy chasing down Ted and Palf, so it's looking like a pretty feisty fight for the podium place. And Scott on the back of Sumo. So we've got a lot of battles going on up and down the grid. I'll try and include as much as I can. Here's Ted on the back of a compromised Palf, who didn't get the run out of turn, I believe 5, then he would have liked defensive into 8. And through 9, he's going to be on the back foot, defensive to the hairpin. He's going to hold him and squeeze Ted all the way to the outside. He's eager to defend this position. Very, very close under brakes. And he's going to try and set up a cutback. There's Vardy up the inside of Ted, making the most of a compromised Red Bull. And these guys are going to be tussling. This is exactly what Paus needs. He's going to be giving Vardy the DRS to try and make it work. And there's Vardy up the inside of Ted. And he's soaring up the inside of Paus into turn 13 and 14. So he's going to harshly take it away from Paus, who was so eager to defend it. But hopefully he can get another run into turn 1 and 2. He's had the run off 13 and 14. Can he make it work into turn 1? He's a little bit too far back, so this podium has been harshly snapped away from Vardy, from Paus. But he's now got Ted to deal with. He's got Ted to defend with. But Vardy, just on his fresh soft tyres, is just so quick, and you can't discredit him for that. But Tyr all over the back of Ghost, really putting the pressure on the man who usually puts on such a good show and is probably in the best shout of winning the championship. Of course, very much in front of Scott as it stands. in this race, so we've taken home a lot of good points. There's Gremlin with some great pace, and Ted in front of Palf, so he's lost 2 positions and down to P5. It was fun while it lasted. Palf so close, but a P5 and 6 for the 2 Haas boys as it stands. Very good showing for them in their bid to chase after Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship. Only 20 points is the gap. They've overtaken Red Bull as of last week, so the Haas guys definitely coming into their own at this midpoint of the season. DRS wide open for Pavs. He's hanging on at straws here. He's trying to stay with Ted with 5 laps of the race remaining. This race is shot past, but here's Scott to the outside of Sumo. This is for P8, and he's going to soar past with DRS drag reduction system, and easily done to claim at P8. And on the hunt for his teammate Bluey up the road in P7. Can he get it done? We'll have to wait and see. Sumo second penalty. Will we see how penalties will affect it though? So Ted, Pavs with 6, Ted with 3. And Davila with nothing, so Davila is going to jump Pavs as it stands, but Tyr with 9 seconds compared to Ghost 6 seconds. And if Vardy keeps it clean, we could see Vardy win the race. He's got the pace on the soft tyres. Who knows, he just needs to stay within 6 seconds of the leader, and as it stands he's about 8, so he only needs 2 seconds the next couple of laps, and he'll see himself taking the race win. This could be a battle against time and attrition for the last couple of laps, rather than an outright battle of pace and on the race lead. So, come on guys, what are your thoughts on the race so far? I'd say it's definitely been probably one of the most hectic ones we've seen for a while. Especially for a while. Yeah, Canada definitely not giving us a shortage of action. Scott managing to close up onto Bluey. He's got them Canadian fans cheering him on. I heard rumours that during the airport it was like flies to a pile of feces. So definitely probably true for Scott, to be honest, but nonetheless he's a fan favourite, and he's got the fans cheering him on here in Montreal, using that extra power, using that metaphorical fan boost to chase after his teammate within the 1 second range now soon, and he'll get that drag reduction system aid in a moment's time if he can keep it clean through turn 1 and 2. Use first gear, second gear, third gear to get the traction on the exit. Very nicely done from the Ferrari man, who has to be very sensitive on the traction in a Ferrari especially. Lost his teammate a little bit through turn 1 and 2, managed to get it back through turn 3 and 4, and now into, I believe, what is this now, 6 and 7 this is. So he has got DRS, and he's going to be on the back of his teammate down the Casino Straight. And a Bluey picking himself up a 3-second time penalty, so nonetheless will be falling behind Scott, but I'm sure Scott will want to get it done on track. Davila then 3.5 seconds up the road after Bluey, so maybe if he's got the pace he can chase after him, but Tyr has completely and utterly fallen off the back of Ghost up in front, so not too sure what's happened there. Maybe his tyres have hit a cliff, or he's just trying to go in conservative mode, ran out of energy, who knows. So he has managed to get past his teammate, has Scott, up into P7, and already 7 tenths clear. We're onto the penultimate lap of the race, and what a race it has been. Battles up and down the field. With Davila now on the back of his teammate as well, so Pav's pace sort of dwindled out now towards the end, which is, you know, not the best. But, you know, the pace has been there. It's 5th and 6th for the Haas guys, which is some great constructors' points, and we do love to see the Haas guys doing well. Pavs and Davila, the two well, I wouldn't say geniuses, but nonetheless, the two masterminds behind the APPF1 community, and they do put on some great stuff from side by side into turn 13 and 14. It looks like Pavs is going to fight too hard, going to concede that one to his teammate and not take each other out, fortunately enough. But yeah, to the disheart of Mr. and Mrs. Pavs, who've seen their son drop from a podium chance down to P6. It's heartbreaking to see, but he's going to be dropping down to P7 as well, which is even more heartbreaking because Scott has managed to keep it clean. Pavs with 6 seconds of penalties. We are on to the final lap with Ghost rounding in to I should say. I keep getting the corner names mixed up. Armed with another 3-second time penalty. Bluey still on the back of Scott. We'll have a quick look at the penalty situation. So it looks like 6 seconds is the average, apart from the two drivers who managed to keep it clean, which are Scott and Davila. And Vardy managed to pick up a 3-second time penalty. He will get P2 in this race. Not quite going to be able to hang on for P1, but it's going to be a Williams 1-2 nonetheless. So here's Ghost then down the casino straight across the line. He's managed to control this race from where he started. He got through the traffic quickly. He got through the traffic efficiently. He's controlled the race since the lead and across the line. What a remarkable start. And another race win under the belt for Ghost, who is your race winner. Tier close in second on track. He's going to fall back behind Vardy though, who will finish P2. Will Ted take P3? Yes, he will. So Tier falling down the order with his penalties. Is Davila going to take P4 off him as well? Yes, he is across the line. And Tier having to settle for P5. P7 still a great result. P4 and 7 for Haas, guys. Definitely not a result. Just in P. Sumo P9 and Wayne rounding off the top 10. Here's Ethan in at P11. Sort of just tries to roll it off the tongue then, but he finishes P12 after penalties. Bit of a quiet race for the Racing Point. Someone who has been striving to improve since last week. His debut across the line is going to be P13, and QB will wait for across the line in P14. I can smell food, so hopefully the stream has been very nicely timed for me to go and have my dinner, but or tea I should say. I don't want to egg Moosey on and be like, oh, you said dinner. Oh. But nonetheless, here's Ginger Prince. The man who started on pole, had a bit of a nightmare race, got swamped by everyone in the middle stages. He'll be the last man to cross the line in P15, still taking home points though, as is the nature of the sprint race championship point system. But what a race in division, in the Sunday night sprint races. It's been a great couple of races, especially at the likes of Canada. Didn't have my step on, was running in balance. Bloody hell, Sumo, man. The pace was mega for you then if you did that. But we are back to a Williams 1-2, as is the norm usually with the Sunday night sprint races. And it's been coming through in round 5. Ghost taking the win ahead of Vardy, then P14 and 19 on the grid. Ted in P3, Davila P4 for Haas, and Tier in P5. Had a chance of P2 and even for the race win if it wasn't for penalties. Scott in P6 and Paus doing another good showing for Haas in P7, Bluey in P8, Sumo P9 after running a balanced setup. Definitely a good result against the highly competitive grid that is APPF1. Gremlin in P10, a couple of good debut races. Wayne in P11, Ethan P12, Arm in P13, QB 14th, Prince in 15th, S-Man in 16th, and the 3 retirements of is that Starry, Max, and Bitmappy. Yeah. Honestly, it's such a silly mistake to make, but the pace was mega. And I'm sure with a lot of instance there was a few people with some very moist underwear. But heart in the mouth, and they managed to recover and put on a very good show for us tonight. And we didn't have the displeasure of Mark joining us tonight. I did notice, which is a shame. We usually have with the APP Sunday night sprints, but well, it's a shame. Hopefully he'll watch the stream back and give me some stick for making the mistakes I did tonight. Wasn't the wasn't the best night for my commentary, especially in Zandvoort, but in Canada I'd say I did a pretty decent job myself. Anyways, if that has been the races. Any last comments anyone wants to chuck in before I end the stream, and we can have a bit of a chat while I finish off my tea, which is slowly getting cold, but it's still warm enough to drink. Team Haas, I knew you'd come in and say that, pal. It was great showing from you guys, and the pace was certainly there, and I was honestly cheering you on for a podium. It has to be said, I was cheering you on all the way there, but it looks like penalties and sheer pace got to you there. But no spins tonight, which is good. Was on for a podium. Wing damage. Was it the Wall of Champions? That is a big shame, pals. But the pace was there, at least you know that much. And it's still P7 after penalties. Definitely not a bad result, especially with Dave in P4. some great more points for Haas and the constructors in their bid to chase after Ferrari. Got caught up in an incident. That's a shame. The pace was definitely there, and you were looking very good, and I was cheering you on, and it was heartbreaking to see you plummet down the order. I was like, no, pal, you held on so well from Ted, and it looks as though everyone else is shouting while I'm streaming, which is just lovely to hear. You love to see it. So on that note, I will be end the stream here, and it's been a pleasure to have you all watching. If you have enjoyed, do make sure to like, subscribe, share around, all the sort. We've just passed 370 subscribers, and the road to 380 is very near, perhaps even the road to 400 very, very soon. As well, if you want to go on board with any of the drivers, such as APPF, Sumo, leave a couple of other people, check out their yeah, exactly, pals. Said it as brilliantly as you can. Thanks for commentating. Sport that commentator. It's a pleasure, guys, always for the APP guys, because they are just remarkable guys. So the support's been insane, and definitely you should go check out AP Pals. Some great content over there. And yeah, but nonetheless, I'm going to end the stream there, guys. It's been a pleasure getting over tonight, and it's been a very good couple of races. So I'll catch you next time, guys. Didn't stream tonight, trying something new. Is this maybe, you know, some editing going on? You've recorded some highlights. Who knows? I'm interested to see. You didn't stream. That's interesting.